Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to DS Theory Sessions. Before starting data structure, as you all know, we have started looking at the dynamic memory allocation. And previous lecture, we looked at few of the functions related to dynamic memory allocation. Let's go through it quickly. We will revise. We'll have a look at one more function, realloc, which is remaining. And then we'll have one program which will make that picture more clear in your mind, how we can use that, okay? So in a previous lecture, we have gone through this content. Well, I haven't uploaded this PPT yet, but I'm going to upload it today, okay? So that you can refer it. Yeah, so what is dynamic memory allocation? So if runtime, you are going to allocate a memory based on your requirement, then it is called a dynamic memory allocation. To do that, we have a set of inbuilt library functions which we can use, like malloc, calloc, realloc, and free. Malloc and calloc are much similar. They are going to allocate a memory for you. The difference between malloc and calloc, the first one is number of parameters. Malloc requires number of bytes to be allocated, whereas calloc requires number of element, and the second parameter is going to be the size of the element. So total memory, it will calculate by itself. So that's first difference. Second difference is calloc is going to initialize your memory with default value, which is either 0 in terms of numeric or null in terms of characters. So that these are the two differences between malloc and calloc. So we have seen few examples and how we can use it, use those functions and syntaxes also, right? So how do we use malloc? Call malloc function into the bracket, pass in total number of bytes that you require. So if you want to store integer values and there are total 10 integer values, then you'll say that 10 multiplied by size of int. Now we use size of int because size of your data type depends on which platform you are running your code. Okay, so if it is 32-bit operating system, maybe integer will require 2 bytes, 64-bit OS, integer will require 4 bytes, and so on. So we'll not make it 10 multiplied by 2. We will say 10 multiplied by size of int. Okay, now malloc is always going to allocate that memory block. Now it's a single memory block. It doesn't know what kind of data you are going to store inside. So we have to typecast that memory block into the required data type that we want. And that's why what we do is we make use of this explicit typecasting before we store that address into any variable. That's one reason. Second reason, when you use assignment operator equals to sign, your left hand and right hand both must be of same data type. Then and then only assignment will happen. So malloc will return void pointer. Okay, malloc is going to return void pointer address, and on the other hand, number is integer pointer, right? So those two are not equal. We need to make it equal, and that's the other reason. Another reason we are going for explicit typecasting here. So with that, we have the address of memory allocated to us. Now, if malloc is not able to allocate you the memory, then it will return null. So it is better to always check whether we have received some address or we have received null value. So once we execute malloc, what we do is we go for if else, just checking a condition whether number is null, then there is no memory, we can do nothing, and we should exit our program. If numbers is not null, then we have memory and we can perform our own task. Okay, so that's why we write if else here. That's the example of malloc, and then we have looked at the calloc. Calloc requires two parameters, number of elements and the size of one element. Multiplication calculation will be done by itself, right? So that's the calloc example. And then we looked at free. Now it's our responsibility as a developer. If runtime we are asking some memory, then once we are done with our task, we should make that memory free. And to make that happen, we have free function, and free function requires one parameter, which is your pointer variable, where you store address. And make sure when you call free function, you are going to pass pointer, which is the initial address of your memory block. If you have updated your pointer in between, then make sure that you bring your pointer back to the initial position, and then you call free function. Because free is just going to make that memory free, which is pointed by pointer variable given to it. If it is pointing to 1000 address, then this function is going to make memory free starting from 1000. But what if initially the address given to you was 950? So from 950 up to 999, that memory block is not becoming free here. Okay, so that you have to be careful when you call free. If you are changing your address, if you are changing your pointer variable, then you should bring it to the initial place and then call free function. So that's free, and the one remaining is the realloc function. Let us have a look at realloc, and then we'll see the program also. So reallocate. Probably you have allocated a memory using malloc or calloc earlier, and at that time you were sure that, okay, I'll be done with 10 elements. So you have gone for dynamic memory allocation for 10 elements and you are working on your data. Now at runtime, you realize that 10 elements are not enough. I need to store total 15 elements. But for those extra 5 elements, you do not have enough memory to store. So in that case, again, runtime, you have to allocate a memory which is capable of storing those 15 elements inside. Now you do have memory for 10 elements, but you require for 15 elements. And that's why we go for reallocation. Okay, we go for reallocation process. And that's where realloc function helps us. So it is going to reallocate you a memory. Okay, and what it does is it actually requires the previous memory allocation pointer also. Okay, it requires previous memory allocation pointer P. So first parameter is the previously allocated memory pointer. Second parameter is the new size, what amount of memory you require now. Forget about earlier process, what exactly memory you require now. And then it is going to reallocate you the memory. So the entirely new memory block will be allocated to you. And that new address will be returned, which you store in the same pointer variable, PTR. Okay? So what happens here, let us say that earlier we have been allocated a memory and we point to that memory using some pointer. Now pointer variable is a separate variable, which means it will have its own memory allocated. Let us assume PTR variable is somewhere at 3050 address, and when you have gone for malloc or calloc, you have been allocated a memory which is somewhere at 4000. And that address you store inside PTR. So value of PTR is 4000, which means indirectly PTR is pointing to this block. And you have already typecasted that memory, so it contains number of elements as per your requirement, and you have some values inside. So let's say you also have some values inside that memory, 1, 2, and 3 or something. These are the values inside that memory. Let's say we have stored 10 elements there, 1 to 10. And now I realize that, okay, I need to store 15 values here. So what we do is we go for realloc. First parameter is PTR itself, and second parameter is going to be 15 multiplied by size of your data type. So it is going to allocate you a new memory block. So entirely a new memory block will be allocated. For example, that let's say that memory block is somewhere at 5020 address. So first realloc function will allocate a memory block of enough size. Then it is going to typecast that memory block based on PTR, which we have passed as a first parameter. So internal blocks will be generated. Then it is going to copy your original data from the previously allocated memory. So it will bring those data here. It will bring those original data. So 1, 2, 3, up to maybe 10, and so on. After that, it will make your previous memory free. It will deallocate your previously allocated memory, and then it will update your PTR. It will update your PTR itself. Actually, it will return the new address 5020, but you allocate or you store that new address in the same PTR variable. So PTR will be updated. And now PTR is pointing to new memory allocated to us. So that these are the steps happening when we call realloc function. We pass our pointer as a first parameter, and a second parameter is going to be the total size, new size. Realloc function क्या करेगा? सबसे पहले तो वो memory allocate करेगा as per your new size. Then it will typecast your memory block based on PTR. Then it will bring your original data to the new allocated memory. It will make your previously allocated memory free, and then it will return the new address. नया address आप फिर से PTR में store करोगे, and now your PTR is pointing to a memory block which is capable of storing 15 values. और उसके अंदर 10 वैल्यू जो ओरिजिनल थी वो ऐसे ही है. So now you can go on and you can store more 5 elements. Okay, so this is what the realloc function is. So we have seen all these functions: malloc, calloc, realloc, and free. And that's what the dynamic memory allocation part is. Now we will need dynamic memory allocation once we start linked list in data structure. Okay. So let us also see one program on this. Today's lecture, in this lecture, we are just going to have a look at dynamic memory allocation. We do have one more lecture today. Okay. And in that lecture, we will start our data structure journey. So let me jump to the coding environment. I'm using VS Code here. Okay. And inside VS Code, if anyone wants to use it, VS Code, then you have to have few extensions to be installed, one required extension is Code Runner. Okay, and then you need to have one setting. So you may go to settings here, and then inside run your code in terminal something. Yeah, run in terminal. This you need to make it enable. Only then your code will run in a terminal, and you will be able to give some input. Only output is okay, but it will not take input until and unless you make this setting enable. Now, I'm not saying that you all need to use this thing. Okay, you can use whatever you are comfortable with. If you are comfortable with Turbo C, I'm fine. If you are using any online C compilers like online GDB or JDoodle or maybe any other, CodeChef or any other, it's okay. I just want from your side is the perfectly running program. You should be able to run your code and have your output. That's it. Okay. Now, if you want to install Turbo C, it's not possible directly you install Turbo C on Windows 7, 8, or 10, or 11, right? So you need to go for emulator software, which will emulate environment for 32-bit, and Turbo C runs on 32-bit operating system, right? So that's why we need that. Maybe Code Block you can also use. You can also go for Eclipse. You may go for Xcode, doesn't matter, right? So fine, once you are able to execute C program, you will be able to do all the programs in this semester. Now let's focus on dynamic memory allocation example here. So now one thing first, Turbo C can go for void main, right? But in this one, I'm using GCC compiler, so I need int main here. Okay. So the first one that we always do is we include our stdio file, standard input output file, and then we start our program. And inside that program, let us first focus on, let's say I want to store few integer values. So we always go for integer array. So A, and at the time of declaration, I'm not aware how many elements user is going to provide me. But at the time of array declaration, size is must. We must define some size here. It must be a constant value. So just to be at a safer side, what I'll do is, okay, I'll say 20. Let it be 20. अब यूजर 5 एलिमेंट दे, 10 एलिमेंट दे, 15 एलिमेंट दे, चलेगा. I can store those elements inside this array. So just to be at a safer side, we are going to define this array with some larger size. And as long as we have array, we know that we are going to use loop. So we need one loop control variable I also. We will ask user how many elements do you have. So we need one more variable n. So now let's go and ask user simply printf, just to have some separation, new line. How many elements you have, right? And then we will scan that value, scanf, %d and %n. So now we have that number of elements, and we can start gathering those elements one by one now. So we always give proper acknowledgement to user. Okay. enter those elements one by one, right? And then we go for a for loop, I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and inside that, again, maybe you can have one printf which element currently user is entering. So we say that, okay, a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, and so on. And for that, I'll go for I, and then I scan that value, scanf, %d, ampersand, a of I. This is how we get those values. And after that, let's say if we just want to make aware what elements user has given, then again we can go for, let's say, printing those elements. You have entered, and then again a for loop. I'll simply copy and paste here. So a of 0, a of 1, something, and the %d, another parameter, which is going to be a of I. So is that okay? Any query in this part? Yeah, Hers is saying, sir, A in small case. Well, Hers, when I'm printing something, it is just a control string. Whatever I want to print, I can. So in printf, I can have capital A. That's not going to make any difference. It will simply print capital A on the output screen. Okay? Fine. So look, this is what the program we write, and let's run this code once and have a look at what is the output. Okay, so I simply save this code, and I'm at this play button on top right corner. I'm just going to click it, so it will run that code here in the terminal itself. So it asks me, how many elements do you have? Okay, I'll say that, oh, I have only 5 elements. Okay, enter those elements one by one, a of 0. So I'll enter those elements one by one now. And then it will say, you have entered a of 0, 1, a of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Now, at the time of printing, I should go for /n, one more. So output will be proper. That's fine. So we'll make that change here. I should have /n at this place. And the big command prompt, just to have some separation there also, I'm going to have a few more /n here, just to separate my output with the command prompt. Okay, so that works properly, but what happens here, let us now print what is the size of A. Okay, so just before we start anything, let's go for printing the size of A. As long as we have allocated a memory, we have declared a variable, memory will be allocated. So if I have declared variable A, array type, okay, then memory for A will be allocated. And let's check out what is the size of A. So here I'm going to print that thing. Now one point I want to focus here, I want you to focus here. Now this is nothing but a habit that you should have. When you are typing or when you are writing something, writing a code, type a function, opening, closing bracket, semicolon. Come back in between parentheses, double quote, double quote. Come back in between double quotes, and then you type your message or something. Now this is only for you do not forget to close your double quote or close your parentheses, or you do not forget to have semicolon at the end. Most of the time what I have seen is mostly students forget to write semicolon at the end, or when there are multiple parentheses, they forget to close one pair or something. So that's what happens, and that's why what I always tell to my students is go for this way. So you'll have less chances of generating errors. Fine. So at this place, we'll say memory allocated for A. And I want to print that size of A. So what we'll do is we'll go for size of operator, size of A. Now inside my control string, I should have one placeholder. Now size of A, generally it is going to be some size. Size can never be negative. It's always going to be positive number. It cannot be float also, because it is going to be the number of bytes. So generally it is going to be integer, and to be very specific, it is going to be unsigned integer. Okay, so you can have percentage D, you can have percentage U for unsigned integer. Now in this at this place, I'm going, as I have 64-bit OS, and there is going to be larger size also, and that's why I'm going to use percentage long unsigned, LU. Otherwise, I'll be having some warning on the output screen. So just to avoid those warnings, we'll properly use these placeholders. So percentage LU, long unsigned. Let us save this one now. And I'm going to clear this output screen, and then we will run this code one more time. Yeah, so what size you have? Memory allocated for A is total 80 bytes. 80 bytes, which means I've allocated a memory for 20 elements, and this operating system requires 4 bytes for integer, right? So 20 multiplied by 4, total 80 bytes have been allocated. But now if I go for 5 elements only, then from those 80 bytes, how many bytes I do use? How many bytes we are using here? Correct, 20 bytes. So from 80, we are making use of 20 only. How about other 60 bytes? Simply wasted. जब हमने प्रोग्राम रन किया तो 80 बाइट्स हमें अलोकेट हो गए हैं. अगर ये 80 बाइट हमने अक्वायर कर लिए हैं तो और कोई प्रोग्राम उसको यूज नहीं कर सकता है. इट इज रिजर्व. मैंने रिजर्व तो कर लिया, लेकिन मैंने उसको यूज नहीं किया. Inside my program, I'm using only 20 bytes. Remaining 60 bytes are simply in an idle case. No one can use it. Even I am not using it. So it's simply the wasting of memory. अब आप सिंपली सोच लो कि ये एक सिंपल प्रोग्राम में हमने इस तरह से मेमोरी वेस्ट की है. अगर ये कोई बड़ा सा सॉफ्टवेयर होता तो बैंकिंग सॉफ्टवेयर, having a large amount of code, हर जगह पे अगर कहीं ना कहीं आप 50-60 बाइट्स वेस्ट कर रहे हो, तो आपका पूरा सॉफ्टवेयर जो है कहीं ना कहीं 500 GB या 1 GB 500 MB या 1 GB खा जाएगा. वो यूज नहीं करेगा, किसी और को भी यूज करने नहीं देगा. यू हैव लिमिटेड अमाउंट ऑफ मेमोरी, योर रैम. आपके पास रैम कितनी होगी? 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB. अगर हाई एंड पीसी है, शायद आप 32 GB रैम भी डाल दो, बट स्टिल इट इज लिमिटेड. इट इज नॉट अनलिमिटेड. So if your software is eating large amount of memory and it is not using it, no other software can use it, then it's not preferable. No one can prefer using this kind of software. क्योंकि आप जब अपना ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम रन करते हो, लैपटॉप या सिस्टम स्टार्ट करते हो, तो आपकी रैम में पहले ओएस लोड होता है, ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम लोड होगी, एंड देन रिमेनिंग सॉफ्टवेयर्स लोड होंगे। सबको अपनी अपनी जगह चाहिए। व्हेन यू हैव लेस अमाउंट ऑफ रैम, तो आपका सिस्टम स्लो हो जाता है, ये भी आपको पता है, राइट? बिकॉज इट डज नॉट हैव इनफ रैम टू वर्क ऑन. So that's the problem. And that's why when we think of optimization, optimize अगर हमें करना है तो हमें कहीं ना कहीं रैम को बचाना होगा. And that's why in this kind of scenario where we are depending on users input, we will never allocate memory statically. हम इस तरह से एरे डिक्लेयर करके या फिर वेरिएबल डिक्लेयर करके आगे नहीं बढ़ेंगे. व्हेन वी आर डिपेंडिंग ऑन इनपुट फ्रॉम यूजर, अगर पहले से पता है आपको 20 नंबर यूज करने हैं तो कर लो, इट इज फिक्स्ड. लेकिन अगर यूजर के पास से लेना है तो आप डायनेमिक मेमोरी एलोकेशन में जा सकते हो. फाइन. नील इज आस्किंग, सर प्लीज एक्सप्लेन percentage LU again. Look, LU is just a placeholder where you are going to print some number or something. Now what it is that you actually want to print, it is the size of A, size of any data type, size of a variable, anything that you can print there. Okay, बंद करके अंदर डालो. Yeah, so when you print size of something, size is always going to be positive. It can never be negative. So it is unsigned. And it is going to be integer because float size kabhi nahi hogi. Size is always number of bytes. So wo bhi integer hi rahega. Okay. So it is going to be unsigned integer value. So what you can do is you can have percentage %d for integer, percentage %u for unsigned integer. Now here I have 64-bit OS and it may have larger size also. So in this case I'm going for LU. L for long, U for unsigned integer. So long unsigned integer, it is percentage %LU. If I do use percentage %d here, my program will work, but it will give me some warning कि भाई आप जो साइज प्रिंट करने जा रहे हो वो सिंपल इंटीजर नहीं है, इट इज लॉन्ग अनसाइंड. सो टू अवॉइड दोज वार्निंग्स मैंने डायरेक्टली LU यूज कर लिया. ओके, या. सो नाउ what we want here is we want to go for dynamic memory allocation so that we do not waste this amount of memory. Now when we go for dynamic memory allocation, we require a pointer variable, correct? Because malloc or calloc is going to give me pointer, it is going to give me the address. So we need pointer variable star, let's say P, and let this be as it is. And here we are going to work on dynamic memory allocation, DMA part. Okay, on DMA. Now for dynamic memory allocation example, we have declared one variable P. So first of all, let us see what is the size of P, memory allocated for P. So just like array A, I'm going to have a look at memory allocated for P, and it's going to be size of P. Okay, so how much memory I have acquired for my pointer variable P? Oh, can anyone tell me what should be the size of P right now? Okay, Rahul is saying maybe 20. Okay, any other person? What can be the size of P? Rishita is saying 4. Tirth is also saying 4. Well, that's the correct answer. 4. 4 bytes will be allocated for my pointer variable p. P is a pointer variable which is going to store address. Address is always going to be unsigned integer, and it requires 2 bytes or 4 bytes. Right? Turbo C में आपको 2 bytes चाहिए होंगे. GCC working on 64 bit, I require 4 bytes. So size of P is going to be 4 bytes. अब 4 बाइट में मैं अपने 15 या 10 एलिमेंट स्टोर तो नहीं कर पाऊंगा ना. I need to go for dynamic memory allocation, and that's why what we do is, let's say we use malloc. Okay, we use malloc function. Now malloc requires one parameter, and that is going to be the number of bytes. कितने एलिमेंट्स स्टोर करने हैं आपको? n. यूजर को पूछ लिया हमने ऑलरेडी. n multiply by size of, it's going to be integer. n multiply by size of integer. So this is going to calculate just enough memory which is required to store n elements. अगर यूजर ने 5 बोला है, then 5 multiply by 4, 20 कैलकुलेट होगा. malloc function 20 bytes allocate करेगा. Now that's going to be void pointer. So let us typecast that thing to integer pointer. integer pointer में typecast हो गया, तो अब उसको हम कहाँ पे स्टोर करेंगे? Let us store that address in our pointer variable p. So now p is pointing to that newly allocated memory block. अब p अगर वहां पे पॉइंट कर रहा है, then we can easily access that memory using pointer variable p. pointer स्टार p करो तो आपको वैल्यू मिलेगी, p प्लस प्लस करो तो वो नेक्स्ट एलिमेंट पे जाएगा. And when you are working with pointers and array, you can always go for indexing p of I. That will also work. Okay, so what I'll do is, I can simply copy and paste this code here. For DMA, and at this place, instead of ampersand a of I can go for p of I. Okay, and at the time of printing, p of I. Fine. And just instead of a, I'm just printing it like p. So it is my separate array which is pointed by p. It is just a printing part. Okay, so we have memory allocated, we store it, we ask user to give the numbers, we print those numbers. Once we are done, do not forget to make your memory free. Now why I have gone for p of I indexing? Because I do not want to update my pointer variable. I want to use the same pointer variable p at the time of making our memory free. अगर बीच में कहीं आपने p प्लस प्लस कर दिया, तो फ्री करने से पहले आपको p माइनस माइनस p करना पड़ेगा. that was one reason कि भाई यहाँ पे मैंने p प्लस प्लस करके स्टार p नहीं किया है. I have gone for p of I and it will work. Okay, now p itself is the address, so we need not to have ampersand sign. p is just a pointer variable, itself gives you the address, so we need not to have ampersand. You can also go for temporary calculation p plus I. That will also work. p प्लस प्लस करके p यूज कर सकते हो, या तो फिर टेम्पररी कैलकुलेशन p प्लस I भी कर सकते हो, और टेम्पररी कैलकुलेशन विथ इंडेक्स p ऑफ I भी कर सकते हो, everything will work. So that's what we write a code. Now just to make sure what amount of memory is going to be allocated when I execute malloc like this way, let us print it. N multiply by size of integer, that's what we allocate, and memory allocated by malloc. I want to print it. So before I go, I just want to see how much amount of memory will be allocated for this program. So now let's run this entire code one more time. It is going to ask us, well, there are a few problems. Yeah, one thing, malloc will require stdlib header file. And is there any problem? Let me have a look at error. No, just malloc and free. Now these two functions are the library functions, and it requires std.lib file, standard library header file. Okay, so let me make this output clear and then again run the code, and it runs properly. Now let's focus on the output now. Okay, memory allocated for A, 80 bytes. How many elements? Let's say I have only 5 elements. Then it will ask me those 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those 5 values are also printed. Then it has gone for memory allocated for P is 8 bytes, because here in this one, pointers are not normal integers. They require 8 bytes because I have large amount of RAM available. Pointer is pointing to address of the RAM, and the amount of RAM depends here, right? So okay, P 8 bytes. Now memory allocated by malloc 200 K for kilobytes. Okay. Okay, it's normal 20. Okay is the next word. I need to go for /n. So it is normal 20, and that's what we require. For 5 elements, I require 20 bytes. Okay, I forgot to have /n at this place. So after that 20, it says, okay, enter those elements one by one by dynamic memory allocation, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it will again print those values and make your memory free. So the focus point here, instead of 80 bytes, we have gone for 20 plus 8, which is 28. Look, P itself requires some memory, and then dynamically we allocate a memory 20 bytes. So total memory that we acquire is 28, not 20, 28, but still it is less than 80, right? So that's first example with which, if you go for dynamic memory allocation, you can optimize your code in terms of memory usage. Now instead of, let's say, now let me comment this earlier part, because now we do not focus on this one. Okay, so I'm going to comment this part. We need number of elements n. Let it be as it is. I need to go for 1/n here. Let's have 2/n's. And instead of malloc, let's say we want to go for calloc. Fine. So if I go for calloc here, then the change will be this one. That's it. We need not to multiply. We simply pass both the parameters. Multiplication will be done by calloc, and program will run. Other difference, malloc जो memory allocate करता है आपको, उसको initialize नहीं करता है. Calloc function is going to initialize your memory. इंस्टेड ऑफ इंसर्टिंग एनीथिंग, अगर आप डायरेक्ट प्रिंट करने जाओगे तो कैलॉग से आपको 0 मिलेगा, मैलॉक से आपको कुछ गार्बेज वैल्यू मिलेगी. That's the difference. Fine. So let's run this code also. Any shortcut for to run this code? Yeah, it is Control Option N. I'll try that next time. So how many elements do you have? I'll say 5. Then again 8 bytes for pointer variable, 20 bytes for number of elements 5, and then 5 values. Same answer. So instead of malloc, calloc is also working properly. And now let's very quickly have a look at realloc. Earlier I've given that I have 5 elements. I get those elements, I print those elements, and before I make that memory free, let us ask user how many new elements you have. And just for those new elements, let me have a new variable also, so that you'll understand that reallocation part properly. So we'll ask how many new elements you have, and I'm going to have those new number of elements in M. So 5 एलिमेंट के लिए मेमोरी ऑलरेडी है मेरे पास. अगर यूजर यहाँ पे 2 बोलता है, 2 new elements I have, then total I require memory for 7 elements. मेरे पास 5 की ही मेमोरी है. So अब मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? We need to go for realloc. Realloc. Now the first parameter is your pointer variable p, and the second parameter is going to be the amount of memory, newly calculated memory, that's going to be 7 elements. So it is obviously it is going to be size of integer, but how many integers? You multiply it with some number, and that's going to be original elements n plus new elements m. So that's the amount of memory we require. Okay, ये याद रखना है आपको. यहाँ पे आप नई साइज दोगे, ओनली न्यू एलिमेंट्स नहीं, पूरा का पूरा नया ब्लॉक आप अलोकेट करने जा रहे हो. So n plus m multiply by size of integer. Realloc will do everything for you, and वापस से हम उसी एड्रेस को p में स्टोर करेंगे. Okay, fine. So look, realloc क्या करेगा? वो पुरानी वैल्यूज को नई जगह पे लाके रख देगा. So हमें पुरानी वैल्यूज फिर से नहीं मांगनी है. What we want is, we want to ask user to enter new values only. Okay, enter new elements one by one. So अब नए एलिमेंट तो 2 ही है, only 2 new elements you want. So from where you will start? Oh, we can start it from n, because those many elements are already passed, and we can run this loop till n plus m. Okay, and I plus plus. So remaining code will work as it is. Now what do you think? Should we go for I less than equals to n plus m, or less than n plus m? Dry run this code in your mind. Value of n is 5. So we initialize I with 5. Okay, we initialize I with 5. So p of 5. then we do I plus plus, so it becomes P of 6. दो एलिमेंट्स हमें नए चाहिए थे, वो ले लिए. So up to 6 वो रन होना चाहिए. n की वैल्यू 5 है, m की वैल्यू 2 है, n plus m becomes 7. 6 is less than 7, so that's proper. When 7 is equals to 7, we need to stop this value, stop this loop. So we do not go for equals to sign here. Simple. So this is going to take two new values only, and then I'm going to print entire array starting from 0. पूरा का पूरा array फिर से print करूंगा. So that's all. Let me clear this output window and let's run this code now. How many elements you have? पहले मैं बोलूंगा मेरे पास 5 एलिमेंट है. Let me say 5. तो 8 बाइट पॉइंटर के लिए, 20 बाइट एलिमेंट्स के लिए अलोकेट हो गए. अब मैं 5 एलिमेंट्स भी दे देता हूँ. सो आई हैव 1 to 5 वैल्यूज. देन इट इज आस्किंग हाउ मेनी न्यू एलिमेंट्स यू हैव. ओके, लेट्स से 2 नए एलिमेंट भी है मेरे पास. देन इट इज गोइंग टू आस्क मी P of 5 डायरेक्टली. पहले वाले P of 0 to P of 4 is there. It is asking me P of 5, so it is 6 and 7. Next element, and then it will print the entire array one more time. So P of 0 से लेके P of 6 तक 1 to 7 सारी की सारी वैल्यू हमें मिल गई. But now we were working both with what? Dynamically allocated memory. पहले 5 एलिमेंट की ज़रूरत थी तो उतनी मेमोरी की अलोकेट की. उसके बाद 7 एलिमेंट की ज़रूरत थी तो हमने उसको रीअलोकेट कर दिया. And at the end we make that memory free, so other programs can make use of it. At this place, in this for loop, okay, it is going to ask you P of 7 also. In the output here, if I make equals to sign in my code, तो वो लूप 3 बार चलेगी. अगर equals to कर दिया तो एक बार और वो लूप चलेगी. Then it will ask me third value here. P of 5, P of 6, P of 7 भी वो मुझसे मांगता. I need to enter that value and then my code will go further. Problem कोई नहीं होगा because C does not follow strict memory access. C language strict memory access में believe नहीं करता है. It is loosely, it is one drawback of C, we can say. It will allow you to access any memory. आपके पास अगर एड्रेस है तो आप वो मेमोरी यूज कर लो. That is one problem also. That's why Java doesn't support external pointers. Java works with pointers, but it does not support external. Developer के लिए pointer accessible नहीं है Java में, because Java doesn't allow you to go for other memory allocation. अगर किसी और ने memory acquire करके रखी है तो आप उसको access नहीं कर पाओगे. C में चलेगा. So program में error नहीं आएगी. Okay, it will run. आप 10 बार ये लूप चलाओगे तो वो वहां पे जाके नया डेटा स्टोर कर देगा, दूसरे का डेटा बदल जाएगा. Well, so that's all for dynamic memory allocation today. Yeah, everyone, there's one announcement. Last 2 lectures are swapped. So 5th lecture was data structure and 6th was DBMS. Now those 2 are swapped for today only. 5th will be DBMS and I'll be conducting my lecture last. Okay. So thank you everyone and see you in the next lecture.